Hey, up next on the MARR Army Rock Show, coming out of New York City, we've got VRSTY. We've added their song Massive to our Golden Dozen. They've got a brand new album out called Cloud City, just released December 4th. We've got Joey Tyler with us. Joey, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, man? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, man, we're thrilled to have you. And, I've been listening to you guys for a little while now. And then when this new stuff came out, it was like, whoa. But for folks that are maybe a little new to the band, give us a little history of who VRSTY is.
Yeah, we are, I guess, post-hardcore or metalcore or whatever core band from New York City. We've been around for about, I want to say 5 years. It started off as like a solo project of mine, and then just kind of turned into a band, and we toured for a bit, and now here we are.
And it's as simple as that. Now, man, so where do we even begin? Now, first of all, congratulations on the release of Cloud City. Now, tell us a little bit more about the release and kind of who produced it and where this was made, because it wasn't that long ago. You just released another record.
So I normally just write and record all of the music here in like my house. I have like a home studio. But for Cloud City, I wrote all the music as always. And I recorded and I showed it to the guys, and we started going through producers, and I had kind of knew about Andrew Bayless beforehand, but me and him never really spoke, and I ended up reaching out to him and asking him if he wanted to take part in the record, and he already knew who we were and jumped on it, and we drove to Ohio and did the record there with him.
One of the things I really like about your guys' music, I refer to it, I thought I came up with this thought, but I see it now all over the place. I feel like there's a new genre forming called like pop metal. It's sort of like Bring Me the Horizon, the bands like that, and combining all those elements. You guys have a lot of that. What is your guys' roots, musically speaking?
It's kind of weird. We don't really have like a set musical background, I guess. I guess being that I write all the music, like I write the guitars, the drums, and everything else like that, I'm traditionally a pop singer. Like I grew up listening to Michael Jackson, Prince, Frank Sinatra, like just all of that stuff. And I got into guitar like late in my life. And so pretty much the way it works with us is I just pick up my guitar and I write random things, and then I just sing over it. And there's literally no plan for it. It just kind of comes out the way it does.
I have to wonder that, like, that makes sense, like, from the pop sense. So how do, like, those metal riffs and the rap parts and, like, how does all that layer over it? Like, I feel like I shift gears sometimes in the middle of a song, which is cool.
I just like keeping things, like, really interesting with our music. One of the first bands I got into was, like, Killswitch Engage. And so, like, I'm super into heavy music. Like, my favorite band right now is, like, it's currently Spirit Box. I absolutely love heavy music, but when it comes down to like the vocals, I just always want to keep things like fresh and interesting. And from growing up listening to like pop and R&B and rap and everything else, I kind of developed like a way of like I'm a freestyle singer, so I have this very weird way of like singing one part and then just doing something completely different for the next part, and then just layering it over the instrument.
It comes out really close. It's one of the things I really love about your music. I love that change throughout. Now, hey, I feel like, so a new record's already out, and I almost feel like this record kind of got a jump start with Shameless. That song did really well for you guys, didn't it?
Yeah, that song was, I had no clue that song was going to do that well. Actually, funny thing, we originally weren't going to put that song out as the first single. It was supposed to be a different song, and the label was like, hey, actually, let's put this one out. And we went with it, and it started doing incredible.
Give us some of the highlights, like talk that tune up a little bit for folks just listening. I mean, I'm not just giving it lip service. That thing took off, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, oddly enough, that song wasn't even supposed to be on the record. It was just a breakdown I wrote, and I showed it to my producer, and it was the only song that we wrote in the studio. And I showed him the breakdown, and then he wrote like the little pop part after it, and I just started singing. And the song, I think we put that song together in about 3 hours, and we recorded it. We got it all mixed and stuff like that. I filmed the video for it after the label wanted to put it out first, and then my expectation was, all right, it's a good single. It'll do fine. But it actually started taking off, and then our team picked it up, and a bunch of other people like really started catching on to it. So I guess it was a good thing I had that random thing sitting in my pocket.
Now, hey, the song we added to our little humble golden dozen chart here was the song "Massive." So, tell me a little bit of what that tune's about and the story behind that song.
Yeah, so Massive was pretty much a song I wrote about like all of my frustrations in the music industry, because we've been doing this for a couple of years now. We've always been DIY, but we have had experiences with other labels where we never released anything on the other labels, but we've had run-ins with them that weren't so, they weren't so great. And I decided to just write a song, like airing it out, like, I'm going to do this one way or another, with or without you, and that ended up becoming Massive.
Now, I mentioned to you guys it was only a year ago that you released another record, and the song I've been listening to that I kind of wanted to ask you about was NOLA. I feel like, artists always say tunes can be interpreted different ways, but, like, what do you tell people that song's about?
So NOLA is pretty much it's pretty much about a situation I was in where I felt like I was literally being sucked dry, but I didn't realize it till the very end of the song, and all I wanted to tell the person was like, I'm still here for you, even though I clearly know that you're using me, but I just want to be a good person for you in one way, shape, or form, either way. And that ended up being NOLA.
Now, I'm also curious about the music video for that song. I watched it this morning when I was getting ready for this, and I feel like you guys just had a whole lot of fun doing that video. Like, is it more or less just like what tour life was like for you guys? Is that the vibe there?
Yeah, so we went on, that actually was filmed on tour, and we always try to make sure that, because we're always touring, or were touring at the time, we try to make sure that when we get to a certain state, we at least put aside a few hours to do something fun and just not kind of be sucked into like the whole touring and like show driving kind of thing. It was filmed over like a bunch of states, but I think the most footage used was Vegas and the Hollywood sign. So it starts off above the Hollywood sign. That we did the whole hike all the way up there to start filming that, which is crazy.
Now, I like to always get a little peek, at the personalities of bands. So take me through how, I've always wondered with certain bands. You guys, I can tell you have different musical tastes in the band just because I'm watching the T-shirts you guys are wearing and stuff like that. So what's the discussion about music played while you guys are driving from gig to gig? Who gets to decide and what gets played?
Okay, so we have one rule only on tour, and it's whoever's the shotgun, whoever's helping the staying awake with the driver, they have to DJ. So they get to pick whatever they want, and no one can complain about it because that's their couple of hours to kind of listen to whatever they want.
Now, is there an outlier in the group? Is there somebody that's just got something that would blow us away? You're like, oh man, the rule is we're not going to complain, but this person listens to something a little weird.
Not really, not for the most part. I mean, my bassist, he listens to a lot of Spanish music. We kind of all do, but not as much as him. My drummer sometimes puts on classical music and he likes doing like the long drives with like classical music in the background. We all we enjoy it because it gives us a different outlook on like, different styles of music, and it helps us like pull in different influences and stuff.
So, hey, New York City, man, hit hard by the whole Corona thing, and of course the music industry hit harder than anybody else. How are things holding up there in New York for you guys? It looks like you just put your head down and kept recording music.
Yeah, I mean, it sucked at first because we did have a bunch of plans, and then that all kind of went away. But I want to say after the first month, I kind of just sat at home and, me and the guys had a conversation, and we decided, hey, if we're going to be at home and we have time to record it and write music and, like, actually sit down and, like, perfect our craft or just, get better at it, we should do that. And we just decided to keep recording and writing music and filming music videos and just putting out content for people. Everyone is kind of stuck at home and is forced to watch music videos on TV or something right now, so you might as well make it interesting for them.
Now, is there anything at all you can do live? I know, like, out in Vegas, they got all kinds of weird rules now that were like, well, you can be ambient music in the background, or is everything pretty much shut down up in NYC?
It's not fully shut down here anymore, so now I know in certain restaurants, they're like, hey, you could have, like a little DJ or, like, an acoustic section, like, way in the back and stuff like that. But we're the kind of band that we'd rather just wait till it's safe for people and then just get back to like doing going at it full time.
That totally makes sense. And with your style of music, man, I can just sense. I've never seen you live, but I can just sense that's a big part of what you guys are. Now, I feel like every band in their hometown has that iconic club where they came up from. I'm just curious, do you have like a home venue or an iconic club there in New York that's kind of your guys' home place?
Yeah, so there's one venue we've played hundreds of times. It's called the Kingsland. And we play. God, I can't tell you how many shows we played there, but that's our go-to venue. Like whenever we're home and we want to put together like a random last-minute show, we're like, hey, the Kingsland's free. Let's do that.
Now, any one particular memory stand out there? Were you guys like the house band, or were you sometimes opening up for other anybody in particular there? Any one memory jump out at you?
So we opened up for a bunch of bands there at first, but I want to say like maybe last year, the year before that, that was when we really started taking, growing. Favorite memory there, though, is we played a Halloween show there called Booyah Fest. It was like us, Slaves, Bakari, Outline and Colors, so a bunch of sick bands. Pretty much sold the whole venue out. It was, that night was absolutely insane. That was like one of my favorite memories of it there.
So, hey, I want to direct folks that you guys got some really cool merch over there on your merch store, and it looks like you put it out frequently. My personal favorite's the Halloween shirt, by the way, just for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But tell folks a little, who designed your merch, and where do you come up with that stuff?
So one of my best friends actually designs all of our merch. She's been our merch girl and our designer since we started, and usually she'll just hit me up and be like, hey, I got this idea, like, what do you want to do with it? And she'll send it to me, and if we like it, we put it on. If we don't, then we're like, we'll work on it.
Well, there's a lot of great stuff over there. People had a chance to pre-order the album, things you can get now. I'm going to let folks know that if they're looking for you guys, they Google you after this. It's VRSTY, is VRSTY. Now, Joey, where do you want folks to go to find your merch and your music and all that good stuff? Where's the best outlet for people?
Yeah, sure. So if you want to pick up any merch and help support us, you can do that at www.vrsty.nyc. And if you want to listen to our Cloud City EP, which we just dropped, we are literally on every streaming platform. You pick a favorite, and it's there.
Hey, Joey Tyler from VRSTY, his song Massive is in our Golden Dozen, and lots of good stuff out. Can't wait to see you guys. I know you're going to be a major presence on that festival circuit when it gets fired up again, so looking forward to that and seeing you on tour. So, Joey Tyler, man, thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, man. This was fun. I appreciate it.